Hi, you know me as Southern Fried, and today we're going to make an animation like this with AI and Google Colab using Deforum Stable Diffusion. So the first thing you're going to want to do is make sure your browser is logged into Google because you will need your drive. And then you can go to deforum.art, and the link will be down below. Scroll down past the little eyeball and you'll find where you can use this software. We're going to choose number 2, Deforum Colab, and if you click the top, it's going to take you to GitHub, and if you click the little button, it'll open exactly the collab for you. I have already done mine ahead of time, so we're over here. I had a little, it kept kicking me off, so we had to start over. But in the very top, you're going to have your setup section. You're going to have it's where you have your models and things, where you're telling it where to connect. If you want to have your own models imported, then you would put them in your drive, and you would tell it right around here where to find those. Oh, they're right here, I'm sorry. These are the models it comes with. I always just use the default. And for this video here, we're going to use just our default settings so that you can actually make your own right now instantly. It comes on default on none on animation parameter, so you want to change it to 2D or 3D in order to have a video. You use video input if you're using a init video and diffusing on top of it, and interpolation for interpolating a lot of different prompts. And none would be your stills. It does generate still shots, by the way. You can do a million prompts if you wanted to. So for this demonstration, we're going to put it on 2D because only some of these are affected with 2D. You're going to want to click on Translation X. There's a default formula there. All it does is go left and right, and it looks real jittery. It's not good, so I take that out and change it back to 0. If you're making a long animation, you might like the shaking back and forth, and if you want to leave it just so you see what it does, go ahead. I tell in the class, I tell my students, don't leave that or you're going to just hate it, and most of them did. Though they came back to me and said, why is it shaking, why is it shaking? So this is your left and right in 2D, this is going to be your up and down in 2D, and this is how fast you're going into the animation or out of the animation. The default is a 10, which is very super fast, but we're going to leave it on 10 so you can see how much, how fast that is. In 2D mode, it only reads these right here down to the rotation 3D. The rotation, translation Z. From here down is in 3D mode, but from translation Z up is your 2D. The equivalent to rotation 3D, Z is like a rolling round and round, would be the angle up here. And in another time, we're going to go over these settings in more detail. This purpose of this video is just so you can get started today animating my prompt for your, for your video pleasure. We're going to scroll down to, at this point, I wanted to stop and let you know what, where did it go? Noise schedule and strength schedule right here. Noise, of course, if you mess with any kind of animation, any kind of Stable Diffusion or any AI, that the Stable Diffusion likes to use noise that makes the images out of. The noise, the strength is what it uses the previous frame, how much of it uses to go to the next. So these work together. It's not, I've only changed it from default like twice, and it works just perfect on default. But those work together with the cadence, which is down here under coherence. The diffusion cadence is basically where it changes your images. So it comes on our scale of 1 to 8, 8 being the least amount of diffusion and 1 being the most amount of diffusion. It comes on 1 as default. We'll leave it there, and it's going to diffuse every single frame, so it takes a lot longer to generate, but we changed it to 50 frames up top. I hope that we did on this video. Let me go back up and let's double check where it said none here. Change that to 2D. Where it says max frames, it says 1,000. Change it to 50 for the purposes of doing a very quick example. Okay, so we're going to scroll on down past the coherence to, as you can see, you can put in a video in it. This is where you would put in all of that. And then here's our prompt box. Now it comes with, this is going to be their default prompts. They've got at 0 frame this prompt, and at 10 frame this prompt. If you want to add your own prompt, this is where you would do it right in between these quotations. So you would want to click inside of there, erase that, and replace with your prompt. If you only have one prompt, I suggest you click in front of that 10 and add a hashtag to turn it a different color. That way it won't read it, and you don't risk accidentally erasing a comma or any of this, so that you don't have errors. For the purpose of this tutorial, though, I'm going to undo it so that you can see it read both prompts. Here is your negative prompts, what you don't want in your animation. And then under here is your, this will be your aspect ratio. This is going to be your samplers, which it has just about everything else that most AIs have. It's got the steps. That's where you have your steps, your scale, all of that stuff. And we have your save and display settings. I don't ever mess with any of those. I leave them just like they are. Batch settings, this is where if you were having stills made and you left the top as none, you would put amount of pictures you want. So if you left it at none and you wanted, say, 20 still frames, it will give you 20. If you want 1,000, it's going to give you 1,000. This right here, the batch name, it says stable fun. You can change it to anything you want. That's the name of the folder that you will find inside of your drive. Okay, and then here's your seed behavior. There is 4 seed behaviors: adder, fixed, random, ladder, alternate. I'm sorry, there's 5. We will go over those another time, but for now we're just going to leave it on default. You're going to scroll on down. This is where you would put in your init if you had an init image to use. We'll do that in another video. But for now, we're just going to the very bottom where it says create video from frames, and uncheck the first top box that says skip video for run all. The default is checked. You want it to uncheck, because this is actually the part that animates. If you leave it checked, you will not have an animation. You'll just have a bunch of frames. It will also create you a GIF if you want that done at the same time. Afterwards, just scroll to the very, very, very top. Connect your drive, and once you've got a green check and it's turned on, you're going to go to runtime and run all. It's going to go through each module. It's going to ask us in just a moment. Oh, the first thing it's going to do is pop up the thing. It says it wasn't approved by Google. Just hit run anyway. At each module, it's going to go in order until it gets down here. It's going to ask you to connect to your drive. You're going to want to do that. Because we're in the cloud, we're not putting any of this on our machine. That's where you will find your product when it comes out. This is probably the longest part of the video, so I do apologize, but it's still is pretty quick compared to if you're doing it on your local machine, I think. As you can see at the bottom, it was doing all kinds of stuff. Now it's asking us to permit the notebook to access your Google Drive. So tell it connect to Google Drive. This part will pop up. You choose your account on the top. Then you're going to scroll to the bottom and push allow. Now it's setting up the models, it's checking the hash, all this stuff, and then it's going to read our settings, and we will go to the bottom. In the meantime, I wanted to also say on their site, Deforum.art, they do have like their links to GitHub and things like that, where they have like books on they have written up stuff about the settings and things like that, and they also have a Patreon and a YouTube. Also a Discord, actually. Yes, the Discord here is the people that have made this program, and they're in there and very helpful if you run into problems. You want to go into the colab, the notebook channel, though, to ask your questions if you're using this. If you're using Auto 1111, they have a channel for that. So the guys in there are very helpful, and they're the ones that invented it, or made this program. So that would be the place to go if you run into trouble. Here we go, loading model. We're in the next section here, which, yeah, here we go. So after we get our model, it's going to read animation settings, it's going to read our prompt box, and all of that information we put in, and we're going to meet it at the bottom. As you get these little green check marks, then you know that your stuff is okay and you have no errors. We're going on down to the bottom where it spits them out for us. Right here. And so as you can see, we have the first prompt was something about a lake, and the second one is about a woman, and I changed it to 50 frames, so it should generate pretty quickly, even though we have it on one cadence. It's actually diffusing every single frame of those 50 frames. So if you set it on the lower numbers, it takes a little longer, and the higher numbers, to me, it's a lot quicker, and it also is a lot smoother. You also can adjust your frames per second when you're animating, and that was in the part down here where it said where we uncheck the video, the box right here, skip video for and all. There is a place somewhere in here. There it is, frames per second. You can change that to, like, 12 is great, but I mean, you can change it to if you prefer 30 or 50 or whatnot. And here is our generation. It's kind of pretty. It's halfway through already. And when this one's done, we're going to go find it and see it, and then we're going to go back and we're going to put it on 3D mode and turn the speed of it down a little. And then on subsequent videos, we will have more in-depth going over the settings. I haven't used this software myself but a year, so all of this that I do know is trial and error. So bear with me, but I try to, in our classes that I have weekly in the Discord, I just try to show them all the little tips and tricks that I've learned along the way. Okay, let's see. It is 2:47, 48. Let's see. We're almost done. And then now we're done. It will go to straight down here to create video from frames. It's turning. As soon as this gets a green check, we'll go find it in our drive, which is now. So let's go over to our Google Drive. Let's go inside. You have a folder called AI. You're going to click it. You also have a folder called Models and one called Stable Diffusion. The Models is not where you're going to find it. It's going to be in Stable Diffusion with a date. Click it, and then you'll find the name of the folder. If you left it on default, it will say Stable Fun, if you named it, you'll find the name you put there, and then you just open that up, and here's our animation. If your animation's not on top, all you have to do is click this little arrow right here and it will reverse it. There is also, let me show you, it puts the settings file in here as well, because you can import the settings if you have one that you really like for a future video creation. So here is our animation that we just now created, and it's on 10. Remember, as a default, it's going to go real fast. Nice. Okay, and so at this point, if you want to save your animation, you save it out of here to your machine. And here's all your frames. If you need a frame or you want to keep some, there you go. We're going to go back to Deforum, and we're going to scroll up to our very beginning of our animation settings, and we're going to just click the box that we're going to click this little thing where it says animation mode at the top and change it from 2D to 3D. Leave it on 50, and we're going to go to translation Z right here and take the 0 out and leave it, put it on 1. And then now in 3D mode, it will read all of these. It will read the 2D ones and these rotations. We'll go the next step in this video series. We will go and do some of these left and rights and up and downs and things. But for this video, we are just going fast or slower, and we're gonna just do a 1 3D and 1 2D, so you can get started today. Again, we're gonna just, I'm sorry, we came up here. We're still connected, so you don't have to redo above settings. Okay, you can just start right here, but now this gets tricky. You have to make sure you press these components in order, not out of order and not above each other, or you will throw an error. So we got a green check, we go down, push it again, we got a green check, we go down, push that one. That one's going to turn as it's making, so I go on down and I push the last one. Then we're going to go back up here and see it as it's coming out. This is also the time when you don't like your output or you feel like you need to change your prompt. You can always stop it at this point and fix what you don't like and then rerun that cell. So if you go back and fix your prompt, you're going to rerun the prompt box and then the load settings. If you go back to the very top, wherever you go, you need to rerun from that cell down. Okay, so now it's loading up this part since we changed our modes and things, and then it'll start giving us our images, and then we go find them in our drive. I did not change the cadence off 1, so this one's going to go slower, but it's still going to diffuse every single frame. So on the last part of this video, we are going to go up and change the diffusion cadence to a different number, but we're going to also probably go backwards on our our in and out, so that you can see how to, instead of going into your picture, you can come out of your picture. We're almost halfway there. Sometimes when they're spitting out the images, they're not all that beautiful in between, but you have to remember it's evolving. Your video is going to be like changing, so that's sometimes there's some ugly ones in the middle, but as you learn to adjust the settings and things, you can fix a lot of that. We're on frame 47, 49, and then we'll have our animation. There we go, and it's already done. We're gonna go back to our job, and we're just gonna refresh our folder. Since we didn't change folders, it should be on top of the other one. So here's our animation here that we just made. Now this one's 3D mode, and it's still, and we turned it down to a 1 from a 10. It's still on 1 cadence. So we're going to see the outcome. See, 1 cadence is still, it changes quite a bit, but it's slowed down how fast we're going inside of it. Now we're going to go back and we're going to change the speed of the cadence. So we're going to scroll back up to the first section of settings where we changed the trans Z. Okay, well, we changed it to 3D right here, and we changed this to 1. We're going to leave that alone and scroll down one more section, I think 2 sections, I'm sorry, 2 right here, coherence. Go back to diffusion cadence. We're going to change it from animating every single frame to animating every 4th frame. And see how smooth it is. Big difference. So we're going to rerun this cell. Then we're going to rerun the next cell. And then we rerun the next. And then we're going to rerun the final cell. Okay, and it's going to go even faster because we're not diffusing every single frame. We're going to diffuse every 4th frame. So instead of having 1 frame at a time coming into your job, you'll have 4 coming into your job, and it generates a lot faster, and the animations are a lot smoother. If you like the glitch, then you want to use a smaller number for your cadence. If you want a smoother output, like a regular video or something you would watch on TV, then you would use a higher number on your cadence. And here we go. We're already on 16 of 50. That's what I mean by sometimes being ugly, because it's changing in the middle. Yeah. And we're also on 3D mode. Just a reminder, so you can leave it on 2D mode. You don't have to ever even use 2D or 3D. It just, it's your personal preference how you do your settings. Once you learn what they all do, everybody has their own style. So now we're at frame 48. Now we're at frame 50. Okay, so as soon as this turns green, there it is. Go back to your job. Exit our other one. We're gonna refresh. Actually, it was loading them up, but I always refresh and find it on the top. And let's go see what we got. Okay, come on, trap. Here we go. I loaded it too fast. Here we go. Now this is more like what I do my animations on now. It's a lot smoother. It's not as glitchy, but I mean it's personal preference how much you want diffused and how little you want diffused, and how fast or slow you want it to go in or out of the animation. We're going to go back one more time, and we're going to change the Z translation to a negative. If we put a negative in front of it, it's going to go backwards instead of forward. Translation Z right here where we have a 1, let's add a little minus sign. Then rerun that cell, rerun the next cell, rerun the 3rd cell, and the last cell to animate. Okay, and this is going to go backwards this time instead of forward. So if you want to, standard is like positive numbers are going to be like your right, and if you want to go left, you're going to put negative. Your positive number is going to be up. If you want to go down, it's going to be a negative. If you want to go backwards, it's a negative. So that's pretty much how it works up there in the frames. Here we go. Now we're going to be zooming out. Here you have letters and signatures and things. That's where you would put that in your negative prompt. It does pick up, you can put watermark, you can put signature, text, or logo, and you won't usually have that appear on your animation. This was just a quickie to show you how to make your own animation in Deforum. There's a lot of adjustments, and there's a lot of settings in here, as you can see. Plenty to learn and plenty to tinker with. I have found along the way that in the settings that the transies and the and the rotations, if you keep it on one or less, you do well. This is already done, so let's go to our drive and find our animation where you can see going backward, and that will conclude this video. There will be more behind it, and I do thank you for watching and trying to learn Deforum. We do have free classes once a week for 1 hour in my Discord, but we don't start back until January. We did a 8-week we did 8 weeks, and we finished up about 2 weeks ago, and we're taking off for the holidays, but we will resume in January in a fresh Discord. So anyone interested in that, you're welcome to come join us. Here is our video. Here we go. Now this is backwards. Nice. One more time. That's great. Thank you very much, and I hope you stick around and watch the next video.